our Humongous Entertainment villain video.
And we'll be talking about the villain, Poodles Galore, from a Spy Fox game, Spy Fox 3.
Operation Ozone. So, yeah, each Spy Fox game has a different antagonist in it. So, this is, like, Barry just said, from number 3. So she is the final villain of that series, because there were unfortunately only 3 games.
Yes. 3 main games anyway. There were side games, but we're not going to go into that.
Nope. Mostly because I don't own any of them.
So, Poodles Galore, we get a little bit of background information about her.
Yeah, like she was pretty smart as a kid, and when she was a teenager, she started making her own cosmetic products, which were, at least in her words, better than the brand name ones. So take that with a grain of salt. But given that she did become such a big name in the industry, I'm inclined to believe her. But it was implied in her flashbacks that she caused some things to wipe out the competition.
Yeah, like we see her just smashing somebody's eyeshadow palette, I believe, in one.
Or a compact.
Or a compact, yes. And in the other, we see her drowning people in
nail polish. So she did some underhanded things, but her product must be at least kind of good for it to have gotten so big. So let's start with
what she's gonna do what she's trying to do in the third Spy Fox game. So she basically kidnapped a scientist.
Well, no, because the scientist worked for her and he was turning traitor, so she didn't kidnap him.
Oh, she didn't kidnap him, I'm sorry.
But she turned him into a bowling pin.
Yes. Only to be...
he's a duck, so he's kind of got the shape, and she just, like, tied up his lower body so it fit the shape better, and your first thing in game to do is disguise yourself as part of her bowling team.
And go rescue him.
Yep.
Which you do.
And then he tells you need to collect these items so we can destroy her giant can of aerosol in space that is slowly depleting the ozone.
Looking back at that now, I actually find that very funny because...
It is.
That's what, in the past, people have speculated aerosol cans were going to do.
That's probably why they made the game like that.
Right.
But,
So Poodles Galore, along the way, she has a lot of interesting traps set up for Spy Fox. So we can tell that she has some, as we've said before, intelligence. Like, I think the funniest part was when Spy Fox kept getting crushed by a giant powder puff.
Yeah, but that's easily enough rectified.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I played it, I figured it out, like, within, like, once I noticed that the powder puff would in fact crush you, and you couldn't get through, it was easy enough to fix. It took me, like, half a minute. So, I think that covers, does she work as a character?
Yes.
You know, she's a villain in a James Bond XD.
With a very...
So she acts the part pretty well.
With a very interesting and wacky personality, because if anyone's watched James Bond movies before, all of his villains tend to be very interesting and quirky in some sort of way.
Well, a villain is what really makes a thing. Because you need a good protagonist. I am not saying otherwise. You need a good, relatable one who's fun to watch and who you want to root for. But a villain, they need to be entertaining too.
Which she was.
Yep. So again, that covers, does she work as a character? So does she work as a character in her setting?
Yes, because
she works as a James Bond villain, and she's an anthropomorphic animal in an anthropomorphic universe, and she doesn't do anything that feels like out of place. Although there was this one really dark moment that I don't think you'd really get if you weren't paying attention, but in one of like the cutscenes of the game, when they really don't need to do this, she has two members of the competition. She calls them and then she quickly amends that to colleagues. Up in her aerosol can space station / ozone depleter. And she ejects them into space. With no food and water and what's gotta be a limited supply of air. That's seriously dark.
Dark,
Especially since
and
I don't
unnecessary.
recall ever seeing them again.
Yeah, so pretty dark for a children's game.
So that kind of took me out for a minute of the gaming experience, and I was like, what? Seriously?
Because again, another game.
This is happening now in a children's game?
Yes, another game targeted for grade school children.
Although older, because the order is putt-putt when you're really little. But we didn't play any putt-putt games, so we're not talking about them. Then Freddy Fish, then Pajama Sam,
And then finally Spy Fox. So for older kids, but still very dark.
Okay, so
On to Do We Like Her?
yeah, I mean, she wasn't my favorite of the Spy Fox villains, but half of that is probably due to nostalgia for me.
Yeah, you said William the Goat from the first one was your
Kid.
favorite. The Kid. Sorry. William
He
the
was
Kid.
always my favorite, although that was the game I played when I was a child. I didn't play the other two games in the series until years later. But, so William the Kid has a special place in my heart because he was the guy I would constantly foil as, you know, a 10-year-old. But I enjoyed defeating her in the game.
I liked her as well. I thought she was very interesting. Again, she's like a James Bond villain, so she's very quirky and very funny in her own evil way. And I did like that they added a female villain in there because I'm not saying this is how all games work, but mostly the villains tend to be male from what a lot I remember from my childhood, so it is nice to see a female in there.
Like, I think it's more, most of the time, it's a male as the main villain with, like, a female sidekick or an accomplice, like in Spy Fox Dry Cereal, the first one, there was Russian Blue. She was a villain, and she worked for William the Kid, and she comes back in, like, a side game as the antagonist, but in Dry Cereal, she just disappears.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's pretty much it for Poodles Galore.
So, one more video for Humongous Entertainment, and then we'll be moving on to a new topic. So, we'll see you in our final video, which will be on a one-shot character. So, see you then.
Bye guys.